Hi everyone, it's Rivka Malka, and today we're going to learn about hisbodedus. So often when we talk about hisbodedus, which we'll explain in a minute, it is from a podium or it is from a field. Today we're going to take you on a hands-on tour of hisbodedus. And what is hisbodedus? It is a conversation with God. It's prayer in your own language, and it's private. It's just you and Hashem. So as I set out to make this video, I realized that I left my tripod in my son's car, which was perfect because very often hisbodedus is not a standing still type of thing. Very often you're moving, you're going places, you're engaged. So I'm going to take you on a little tour of what I like to do, and hopefully it will be instructive for you. So stay with me. This is a little awkward because I got my camera here. I'm gonna have to get some close-ups without my tripod. Hang on, car's going off, and we are going to head in. Now, the thing about hisbodedus is that it is best to do hisbodedus outside if at all possible. And that's because when we are outside, we sing our song together with the song of nature, and the song of nature is always singing. Nature is always growing. It doesn't complain. It doesn't say, we're gonna stop growing because yesterday was not such a great day. We're gonna rebel. We're not gonna do that. No, take a look at this nature. It just keeps growing no matter what. And conversely, we see Hashem, God, He sustains everything. We become aware that He is abundant and infinite and has everything to give us. And it's just that we need to expand ourselves to receive it from Him. The problem is not with Him. The problem is not with there being a lack in the world. It's just up to us to tap into the abundance. So here we are. Hang on a second. I'll just show you my favorite place. It's really neat. It's a garden. Now, I live in Baltimore City, so you would think, where is there a garden? Maybe I live in New York City, maybe I live in LA. And the answer is, it's as close as you want it to be. All you've got to do is do a tiny little hunt, and you will find a place that feels right and special to you. Now, of course, you can do hisbodedus anywhere. You can talk to Hashem from your bed, from your kitchen, really anywhere. But again, outdoors lends itself to a whole other type of conversation. So I'll take you on a little tour of this garden real quick so you can see what we got going on over here. And I want you to notice that there's this tendency to say, but I don't have someplace like this where I live. That's my chair. I don't have someplace like this where I live. And I used to say that too. If you go online, you can look up Laser Brody, and you will see that Laser Brody has all these videos of him doing hisbodedus in Israel, and he's by the beach and he's in with these amazing vistas, and I'll be like, well, I don't live in Israel, I don't have all that beauty, all that spirituality around me. But that's not true. It's just an excuse. It's just saying I want what he has. But you can take that feeling of I want what he has, I want this garden, and you can make it your own wherever you are. All right? So we're just getting settled here, just walking around. And soon we're gonna get nice and quiet. You hear the water? It's so amazing. And I am going to place my camera right here to see if I can speak to you. Stay with me. To see if I can speak to you from this very place. Hang on. We're setting up our camera without a tripod. Baruch Hashem. Awesome. A little crooked, but overall, hang on. It's very awesome. Okay, welcome. We're here. And our topic today is how to do hisbodedus. And we're going to break this up into 3 topics, 3 sections. Section 1 is what is hisbodedus. Section 2 is how to do it. Section 3 is what to expect. So what is hisbodedus? We mentioned before, hisbodedus is private time. It's a little date. It's a little one-on-one DMC with God. And hisbodedus is a term that is made popular through the teachings of Rabbi Nachman Breslov, but it really is a way of life for any Jew and any human being to take time to commune with their Creator. And what's different about hisbodedus is that we're not opening a book in our hands, we are opening the book of our hearts. We're going directly from our hearts to our Creator. It's prayer in its purest form. Prayer in a prayer book is really good, especially a Jewish prayer book, a siddur. Those words were written by our great people to help us to understand what to pray for, because we may just pray to win the lottery when actually what we want is peace and love. So we have in our prayer books about peace and love so that we don't just pray for the wrong things, so to speak, or pray small when we can really be praying big. But aside from those prayers in a prayer book, in a siddur, there's something else, and that is your connection, your essential connection with Hashem. You're cleaving to God, and that is going to come through hisbodedus. There's a teaching that says that at the end of our lives, we're going to have this experience where the book of our lives is open, and every page will be looked at. What did you do on this day? What wrongdoings? What right doings? But the pages that we ourselves have looked at, those ones, the heavenly hosts will say, oh, she's already seen that one. Next. That one has already been gone through. So a day that we do, this is a metaphorical vision, as if to say a day where we live consciously, a day where we take time to talk to Hashem, to go deep inside. That day we won't have to look back at and assess and say, did I go right and did I go wrong? Because that assessment has already been made. We are living consciously. There's another idea that says that in our regular daily prayers, the Yetzer Hara, which is the evil inclination, just imagine the force that wants to pull us away from our highest experience, he has a party. Because he's like, oh, I know, the minute she starts saying this prayer, I'll go put all their thoughts into her head. And did you ever open up a siddur and you're in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei? I'm having a hard time using my Hebrew and my English language for my different audiences, so just bear with me. You're in the middle of davening Shemona Esrei, and there you go, and you start thinking about all the things you'll have to do and all your worries from yesterday, and before you know it, your mouth is saying one thing, but your mind is a million miles away. And why does that happen 9.5 times out of 10? Because the Yetzer Hara is so used to those prayers that the minute you open up the book to that power, he jumps right in and he says, oh, okay, now's the time to mess with her mind. And later on, you're in the middle of doing dishes and you have the most spiritual thought ever. And you're like, or maybe you even step away from that prayer time, from that Shemona Esrei, and you're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I just missed the whole Shemona Esrei. Like, my feet are moving, my mouth is moving, but where was I? What happened? What happened is that the Yetzer Hara jumped right in there. When you do hisbodedus, you don't know what's coming out of your mouth next. It's like you're bypassing the roteness of a regular prayer, and in doing so, you're bypassing the Yetzer Hara. It's not his playing field. You're creating it from scratch, so there's nothing to mess up. That's another idea. And a third idea is that Rabbi Nachman says that a man who doesn't have an hour to himself a day is not a man. Just take that in. You don't have an hour to yourself a day, you're not a man. You're not a person. A person has the faculty of speech, which animals do not have. They have language, but they do not have speech. They do not have self-awareness. They run on instinct. We have the capacity to both be ourselves and be objective about ourselves. This is the higher level of what it means to be a man, to be a woman, to choose our life, not just to go by instinct. Every dog is a perfect dog, and every cat is a perfect cat, and every blade of grass is a perfect blade of grass, but they're not the ones whose closeness God desires. He desires our closeness because of the very fact that we're the ones who choose it daily. That's what it means to be a person, to choose daily. So when you want to think about, I want to have a better life, I want to tap into a deeper part of myself, it's going to have to include a daily practice of taking time to be by yourself, and in that sense, with your Creator. And that means not by yourself hanging out with your phone, and not necessarily even journaling, although that's a wonderful stepping stone towards this kind of work. but just by yourself. It can be walking, it can be sitting. I love to walk, that works for me. And that's a little bit about hisbodedus. The other thing is that in the space of hisbodedus, we have an incredible amount of quiet. And in the quiet are the answers. I'm on this quote: the quieter you are, the more you can hear. And I just told a story recently. I'll tell it to you right now. Did I tell this to you just last time? I cannot remember. That there was a man, and this man, he lost his beautiful, beautiful watch in his field. And he was looking all over for it, and he was a wealthy man, and he had acres and acres of property, and he had just been working one part of his field when he lost his watch, and then he couldn't find it, and he dispatched all of his assistants and all of his farmers and all of his workers to help him find his watch, and everyone is moving around the hay and the straw, and they can't find it. And finally he says, I guess it's not here. Guys, we're heading to the next field. Maybe I made a mistake. And the whole entourage goes to the next field to look for his fancy Rolex. And one young boy says, do you mind if I stay back? They say, not at all. So the boy who is back, after just a few minutes, he calls to the men, come back here, I found it. And they come back and they say, what? You found the watch? How in the world did you do that? And he said, I didn't look, I listened. He just sat still and listened for the tick-tock, tick-tock. And so often we are running around looking for answers, speaking to people, doing things, making all kinds of efforts to get our life into shape, going to the other field, when really it's all right here. And that's a story that I heard from my friend Sephora Harris. So in hisbodedus, we have this opportunity to be real quiet. Real quiet. Now, how to do hisbodedus. I'm not used to talking to God. What should I say? I feel silly. I feel stupid. I don't even know if he's listening. I feel like I'm talking to myself. These are some of the things that people say, because hisbodedus, in its classic sense, is an out loud conversation with Hashem. You are literally saying, God, I need help. God, I love you. God, I noticed this and I noticed that and I want you. And a whole conversation, right? So at the beginning, it feels funny. I'm talking to myself. This feels weird. And I remember that time when I first started talking, and I would talk to God in my car. And I know a lot of you are car talkers. You can just leave me a comment if you're a car talker. You get in your car and those are your best God conversations. Something about having no place else to go and doing this unconscious movement, and suddenly you can have this conversation. So raise your hand if you're a car talker. So at the beginning, that's what I would do. I'd just sit and say, thank you for XYZ, or I'd say, God, I'm going home now. And I know that I'm in the middle of feeling annoyed and frustrated, and I didn't even know why. Something triggered me, and I know that when I get back into my house, I want to be a nice person. So please help me. I'm going to open myself up to allow you to help me to be that kind of person that you want me to be. But also I'm really annoyed. And then I'd start talking about that, or some type of conversation. Or please help this one, or this child, or this husband. Just having a little conversation. And that's how it begins. It actually begins by opening your mouth, no matter how silly or stupid it feels, and making that commitment. Few minutes a day, whenever you remember, open your mouth. One really special thing to do is to make a special place. Like I have my garden, you might have a special place in your house or in your backyard. Where's your special place that you can go to just take a few minutes to open your mouth, to begin that exercise? You're exercising a muscle, okay, a spiritual muscle. And you're getting that conversation started. Now remember that there's someone else on the other side of that conversation who wants to hear from you. And that's why the more you do this, the easier it gets, because you're going to get siyata dishmaya, divine assistance back. This will get easier. Hashem himself is invested in wanting this to be wonderful for you. So it will get easier. Now, question, what do I say when I open my mouth? The sweetest place to start is with gratitude. Simply open your mouth and begin to say thank you. Gratitude is the number one way to live a happy life. Actually, a Jew is called a Yehudi from the word hoda'ah, which means to think. That's where we come from. We come from the attribute of gratitude. So we thank Hashem, and you can simply start with a list of, I want to thank you for 1, 2, 3. You just start with a list and thank Hashem. That's a beautiful place to start. But in a relationship, especially in a relationship with the Almighty, you can do even more than that. You can share your heart. You can give up your troubles. I like to use the body in order to manifest a state. We're always in a state with our body. Right now I'm very calm. Sometimes I'm very excited, and all of that is happening literally chemistry in my body. And literally they say when you put your hands up, that's the power pose. That's you feel strong. So sometimes in the middle of your prayer, you might just want to become aware of your body and open your hands like this, as if I'm ready to receive from you. I give up control. I'm not holding on to control. It's not about me. I give up control. I'm giving it to you, and literally open your hands. And I know that there are some cultures where they pray with their hands together. I want to encourage you to pray with your hands open. I mean, I'm not trying to change any cultures, but in our way is to be open. I'm open to receiving your blessings. I'm willing to receive your blessings. I want to receive your blessings. I want your guidance. I don't have the answers. I don't have the answers. When we get the most connection with Hashem is when we finally give up this idea that we have the answers. We don't know a thing. We don't know anything. We only know that we try to make the best choices that we can, and we just have no idea how they're going to turn out. So just a recommendation, not something that you have to do, but whenever you remember in your time talking to Hashem, open your hands. It's a tremendous thing, and it corresponds to the verse that says, Posech esedecha umaspilecha chai ratzon. Open up your hands, and Hashem satisfies the will of the will of all of his creation. So it's a beautiful correspondence. Another idea, another thing that you can do is you can sing. If you ever notice, breath plays a big part in our communication. The other day I was driving my daughter to the track. She wants to be doing more exercise, and so we found this track, and it's beautiful. It's late at night, no one's there. It's in a part of a high school, and it's at the bottom of a hill. So when you're running around the track, all you see around you are these beautiful evergreens. It's really a special experience. And honestly, it's terrible time for me to go because she wants to go at night, and I also do. It's really peaceful, but it's like 9:30, 10 o'clock at night when I'm too tired to go, and I also do want to do that for her. So I got in the car and I'm driving, and she says, "You're driving really jerky. I feel like you're annoyed." And I was telling her, I'm not annoyed at you. I'm just gearing myself up to shift gears, but I really want to be doing this. My point is that it wasn't just my jerky driving. She heard it. She's like, "You answered me short. I'm just wondering, are you annoyed? Your answers are really short." My breath was tight. My throat was tight. So I'm saying all of this just to illustrate to you a practical illustration of how our breathing has to do with our communication, our tightness of our throat versus our opening of our throat. And when we're tight in our life, when we feel nervous and scared of how things are going to turn out, our throat is tight, our chest is tight, we're inwards, we're not breathing easily. So this is just a tip. And my tip is, if you are by yourself, start singing. Start singing in your hisbodedus. And I never truly understood what singing does until I experimented with it, because we know that music is the language of the soul. This is clear. It goes to your deepest levels and your highest levels. But singing in specific opens up your vocal cords. Suddenly you're using your breath and your voice in praise and in longing instead of in constriction and tightness. I'm so worried about my payment. I'm so worried about this kid. I'm so worried about my job, and right over here my throat gets tight. But when you sing, You open up. You can't help opening up. There's beautiful, everyone has their favorite songs that they know that they can sing, and that's why privacy is so important, because you want to be able to just sing to your heart's content. And again, that takes a little while to get used to. It's almost like, that's the advanced course. When you first are starting to talk to yourself, talk with the awareness that you're connecting with Hashem, and then sing with the awareness that this is connecting to Hashem. But it's so powerful. Sometimes I'll sit in my chair over here, and I can't get in the zone. I've just pulled up into my car, and everything's on my mind. So I'll just sit back in my chair and start singing until I can open up a space that I can let Hashem in. Because remember, it's all about me. In terms of God, He's always been there. It's just about me coming to the experience. People want to know, what do I say in hisbodedus? So I thanked Hashem, so now what? So now we have a few options. The first thing that we can do is we can tell Hashem what's on our mind and ask Him for clarity. The second thing we can do is we can let Him know, I believe in you. I believe in your salvation. What does this mean? This means that there's an old way of prayer, and this is a whole nother conversation, the conversation of seeing God as abundantly loving. But let's just do it in short right here, that there is a way of prayer that's tza'aka, that's just crying out, like, I'm crying to you. Who else should I cry to? I'm just crying to you. And there's times in life for that, for sure. And there's eras in history for that. Where we're at right now is something much higher, and that is that we're coming to this understanding that the universe, Hashem, is abundantly loving, unconditionally loving. And when we say, how come you did this and how come you did that, we're just, even though it's an honest cry, and there are times for that, we're still not tapping into the fact that we are being completely cared for, and we're not tapping into the depth of the relationship that Hashem really has in mind for us. So what we are learning to do in this part of the conversation is to say, God, I know that you are abundantly giving. You own this entire world. You own every tree, every blade of grass. You have kept me alive until today. You are nothing but love. You give me every breath in my body. You made every single thing in my life work out. It's all you. And you have made unbelievable things happen, and you continue to make unbelievable things happen. And that's why I know that now that I have told you what's on my mind, you're going to take care of it. Oh my goodness, thank you so much. And we begin to think we allow ourselves, we open up in trust to have an expectation of, I trust you, God. I trust you, Hashem. I'm opening myself up to notice that whatever this thing is that needs to happen, you're going to make it happen. You are going to make it happen. You've got this. It is already done. And it may or may not look exactly the way that I want it to happen, but it'll either look exactly that way or it will look better. Because you are the one who is the Baal HaRachmim, the complete, merciful one who has abundance for us. And what's so powerful about this is, instead of complaining, whatever you speak about, you reaffirm, you give energy to. So when you complain about a situation, you're giving energy to the problem. When you open yourself up to the solution, to the miracle, to the blessing, to that which you want to see manifest in this world, you're giving energy to that. So literally, when you are in prayer, you don't just want to spend time praying for someone who's sick and they should get better and they should be off medicines and it's so hard for them and please look after them, because then what are you doing? You're conjuring up in the world with your energy and with your words, you're conjuring up illness. So you do the opposite. You start conjuring up health and love, and you start saying, Hashem, you know how to do everything. You make blood vessels. You make people's digestive system work. You're the one who's in charge. You're the ultimate doctors. Doctors only know what they know because of you, and they only know a tiny bit, and they think that they're limited by cells and by tests, but you, Hashem, you are beyond and above that. I know that you can fix this, and I thank you in advance for fixing this. I thank you in advance for taking over, for doing what needs to be done. I have no idea how it's going to happen, but I know that you do. And you thank him, and you start to bring up these feelings of excitement and gratitude in your life. The book, The Secret to Miraculous Salvations, has been very influential on me, and I use it in my life all the time. Look it up, The Secret to Miraculous Salvations. And I really feel like I'm collecting a short and powerful list of books that are just change everything, and that is one of them, and it's a small book. And it just is it's an entirely different way of looking at our human experience. What we are willing to open ourselves up to is what will be possible for us. You know, it is unreal. I remember a time when it was before a holiday, and we did not have the right amount of money to make that holiday. We just didn't. And we were on this journey, this, let's just thank Hashem journey. And so my husband and I said, you know what? We are not going to stress about this. It's all going to work out. Thank you, Hashem, for preparing this holiday for us. Thank you, Hashem, for the groceries. Thank you, Hashem, for providing everything for us. Thank you, Hashem, for the paper goods. Thank you, Hashem. Thank you so much for making us the most amazing holiday ever. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And we literally went to bed in peace and in quiet. Right before I went to bed, I was downstairs in my freezer, which is a pretty clean freezer, and I started to see some things in there that I had forgotten about. And I started to take them out. Like, we're talking about a big freezer, just a freezer, not a fridge freezer. And when we went out to say this prayer together, I'm telling you, there wasn't a whole lot in there. Like, if there was, maybe I wouldn't have been praying. I would have just said, oh, I don't need to go shopping, I have everything in the house. But I'm telling you, I did not even know that it was there. And even though I had seen it, my eyes weren't open to it. And I started taking things out of my freezer. And then I start cooking the next day, and I have everything I need, almost without buying a thing. Like, out of thin air, a $500 grocery trip just became, it just appeared in my house, and the incredible joy and closeness that we felt was the highest thing, because we can stress about things, but we can't make them happen. Only Hashem can make them happen. We just have to do our best. And when we tap into this power of thanking Hashem in advance for things that need to happen, that's then we're partnering with Him. Our willingness is partnering with Him in making it happen, and He only wants good things for us. So, finishing up over here, we thank Hashem. We allow ourselves to feel the gratitude already. And you've heard all about this in all kinds of New Age stuff. You've heard all about this with The Secret. You've heard all about this in manifesting. Anything that comes after the word I am, your brain and your body react to. I am sweet. I am kind. I am powerful. You say these things. We talked about it in a different video about intensity. That's what becomes you. You've heard about it from a New Age perspective, but this is very much the Zohar. The oldest Kabbalistic works talk about this. Okay. So there you are, you're thanking Hashem, you're praising Hashem in advance, you're telling Him what's on your mind, you're singing if you want to, you're having this time, and finally you're opening up to clarity. You're opening up to clarity, because don't we need that? Don't we just need to know our next direction? And the thing about listening in these spaces is trust what you hear. You don't have to make sense of it. I'll take you somewhere now. This was last Pesach. I was in one of my usual struggles, which is balancing between everything I want to give to the world and everything I want to give to my family. And I just felt like particularly torn. And as I'm walking around here, walking and talking and singing and whatever, I come upon this tree. And here you go. And I just really love this tree. I don't know if you could see from here. Let me see if I can get you some better light. But I don't know if you can see from here, but the bark is really smooth, and it's kind of young and old at the same time. It's really tall, so it's not young, but it feels young because it's slim branches. And as I was holding on to this tree, I was just holding on to it, and I start to count the branches, and I count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 8 branches, and I have 8 children. And as I'm feeling these branches, and I'm noticing that this tree that I'm inexplicably drawn to has 8 branches, I just know that I'm getting a message: go home to your children, to those 8 beautiful branches that you have. And I put everything away, and I just went home. And I had made a video or something, and I just didn't post it. I'm like, nope, that's not what the message was. So what you need to do is you need to trust what you hear over there, and over there, over here, whatever. You need to trust it and listen in for the silence, for whatever it is that Hashem is telling you. And you don't have to make perfect sense of it. You never have to know how things will work out. You don't have to know the how, you just have to know that it is. Just listen for the message. Hashem will work out the how. Okay? I hope that this was helpful for you. The final piece of this is what to expect from hisbodedus. You can expect miracles from hisbodedus. I say that not on behalf of myself, but on behalf of Hashem, who loves to do miracles for us. You can expect to feel more peaceful, more connected. You can expect to feel a new sense of pride in your life, that you're not just running through life, but that you're consciously having a practice, having a time that is truly transcendent. You're really elevating yourself to your highest state when you're in prayer. You can expect to see things unfold in miraculous ways that you wouldn't expect. And you can expect to really hear God speaking back to you through nature, through a leaf, through a tree, through the silence, through the phone call that you get right afterwards. You're going to be attuned to the messages that you're getting by giving yourself over to this conversation. And we just want to stand in prayer and say thank you. I don't deserve a thing, and yet here you are. You gave me life, and I want to talk to you. It's great. I want to thank Rabbi Eliezer Brody, who opened my eyes to Emunah many years ago, and who I've had the pleasure of spending a significant amount of time with when he's come to Baltimore, and we've been really blessed to have him and his whole team over for dinner a few times when they've come to speak. And they're ambassadors for Emunah. They're ambassadors for hisbodedus. They're ambassadors for Hashem. And I really want to take a moment here to acknowledge the great work that they've done. They bring out the teachings of Rabbi Nachman Breslov. I am not Breslov officially, but this is Torah that's for everyone. This is the heart of things that is really for all people. And when I'm with those people, that team, I gather my children around and my husband. Like, we all want to be near them because they're spreading these types of messages every single day and all around the world, and in prisons and in reservations and in books. And they work tirelessly to bring out content that will bring people closer to their Creator. And I think of myself sitting here in my garden, and I think of how without them doing their work, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't have these dozens or hundreds, I don't know how many experiences, epiphanies, realizations, closeness to Hashem. I wouldn't have that if they hadn't made known to me the beauty that is possible, and they hadn't hammered it into my bones through their content that they put out. And I would actually get a bunch of Laser Brody CDs and not even hear all of them. Even just having them in my car, I would hear a couple of them and then I'd hand them out. But even just having a couple of them in my car at all times is like a reminder of someone out there, someone is speaking the truth. And the really, really strange and interesting part is that the woman who works with me now, her name is Jennifer Woodward, she was writing for Breast of Israel, for Laser Brody, long before I met her, and now she's one of the people that you'll speak to if you ever come to a retreat, or if you ever want to sign up for a coach training, anything like that, you'll speak to Jennifer. And Jennifer was connected to them all the time, and she got a blessing from Rev Arash, who's the teacher of Rev Brody, who said that she will teach Emunah to millions. She will bring Emunah to millions, which is an amazing thing. Jennifer, and then she ended up working with me. So it's really quite amazing. And Jennifer is not Jewish, and she lives by these principles, and she helps other people on their journey. So unbelievable. What else do I want to say? Laser Brody, what you can expect, what it's like. What I want to say is one more thing. Some of us, like myself, are not good with consistency. Things that are a daily practice are very, very challenging for me. And I want to release you from that pressure. I want to encourage you to make this a pleasure in whatever way it's a pleasure for you. If it needs to be in your car for a little while before it becomes a daily practice, fine. If it needs to be a walk, like while you're walking your dog, I don't like that so much because my dog just takes up my space. But it's a good place to start. Just start wherever you are. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Just finish listening to this video and say thank you, Hashem. Thank you, thank you, thank you, and thank you for all the future things that you're going to give me. And I would encourage you to look for a nice outdoor space. You deserve it, and it's waiting for you. When you get out here, you're like, I can't believe this garden was always here, and I'm sitting in my little brick house. Why didn't I go outside? What a crazy thing. Go explore all the beauties that the world has to offer. Lastly, I wanted to let you know that I will be in the 5 towns this summer giving a coach training. That's for Rockaway, Cedarhurst in New York, giving a 4-day coach training. Coach training to me is so much more than coaching. It's about teaching people how to hold space for others and how to bring out another's magnificence. It is the training that a mentor or teacher or parent needs in order to communicate in a powerful way, to bring out transformation in the people that you serve. Like, you want to have influence on other people, then you need these skills. And not only that, but you yourself will change in how you see yourself. These are skills that changed my life. These are skills that brought me to a new level of being able to be a safe and strong container for another, and to love them, and to help people to grow without imposing my agenda, and without any struggle. And there's techniques behind it. There are techniques behind good coaching and good communication that I will teach you. This is a 4-day training, and God willing, it's the last training I'll be doing this year. It's going to be from July 9th to July 12th. And it's a 4-day, all-day training. You'll find your own place to sleep and eat, but you'll be with me from 9:30 in the morning till 6 o'clock at night with a little lunch break in between. So it's an intensive, it's immersive. We're going to spend all day together, and we're going to learn some powerful tools, and you will walk away transformed. So really, I never know whether to call it coaching or self-development, because you yourself are going to walk out completely different, having access so much more of yourself than you ever knew possible. And the reason that it's my last training of this year is because, Baruch Hashem, my calendar is full, and I have some things planned for next year, and I need to focus on them. So this is really the it. If you would like to get a 4-day intensive self-development and communications training, it's going to be happening July 9th through July 12th. You can, right now, you will not find information about this on my website. You will not find information about this anywhere besides for in my personal self. But it is happening. So I would recommend that you sign up. It is a small group training. This is not for the masses. This is not for anyone who just says, oh, that's cool, I want to join. No, it's for people who are ready to do some real learning, real growing, and get some techniques. Okay? So here's how you're going to reach me. Rivka Malka at rivkamalka.com. It's super easy. RIVKAMALKA. Rivka Malka at rivkamalka.com. 4 days in New York with me, intensive training, walking out transformed, and that is why I prefer the small group training. Some of my trainings are more expensive, and that is why, because I like to give personal attention. I don't want to teach information at you. I want to watch you practicing the information. I want to critique you. I want to see who you are and celebrate you and help you. So I don't really know all the prices of trainings, but I know that mine tend to be a little higher end because they are small group trainings with limited access, limited amount of people who can come. All right? Rivka Malka at rivkamalka.com. I will see you there. I look forward to having an amazing time with you, and I look forward to hearing from you about your hisbodedus experience. Bye-bye.